Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome into the 615 Prep Scoreboard. As Joe is finishing his breakfast, and I hope you are too. Good morning, everybody. Hope you've dried out from sufficiently from the rains of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Uh, Joe, Joe, you haven't? Not yet?
I'll never dry out, Chris.
A wet and wild weekend of scores, and we're going to go ahead and get through them because we want to get you off and running on your Sunday. Do whatever it is you need or have to do today. And before we do, guys, let's kind of talk real quick about the games that we saw and the scores that we saw and what kind of stuck out and surprised you this weekend in general, actually.
Yeah. So I'll start with the first one I saw. Really impressed with Springfield. Portland scored a couple late to make that more of a game, but we did figure out who the problem is. Matt, you're very right. Springfield looked really good. They gave up a couple of touchdowns late, but they never were really in doubt in that one. FRA is very, very good. I'll touch on them later. Very good. Really impressed with them. And also, Beach is very good. Beach is rounding into the team that I thought they would be. Fine. It was hard to judge at the beginning of the year because of, they struggled against Station Camp, lost to Collierville by 2, and then they had that 7-point game against Riverdale in the monsoon. But the last 3 weeks, the Bucks they've figured it out, and it makes me really want a Beach Page matchup.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think anytime you have weather like we had this weekend, it does kind of play a factor, at least a small one. But there was a couple teams that we had in our rankings that took a loss this weekend that was unexpected. Those being Macon County and Gordonsville. There's a couple other ones in there as well, but mainly, you look at Macon County, that's a big loss for them. Like that's a loss that changes the course of the season because now they have two losses in region. They're very likely to end up the 3 seed or the 4 seed and have to travel down to that Chattanooga region in the first round of the playoffs and then get Upperman in the second round of the playoffs if they were able to win that game. So that was a monumental loss for them, unfortunately. But and then you look at Gordonsville, tough, hard-fought battle last week against DeKalb County, and then come back this week and lose to an average Monterey team. I don't think Coach Jackson is pleased with the way that result happened, but everything's still out in front of them. That was a non-region game. They still have the big matchup with Clay County in Week 11 for the region championship.
Yeah, some of these surprise scores could end up causing chaos 6 weeks from now because, like you talked about, Cam, with Macon County and their loss, and that region's going to get flipped a little bit. Upperman's still the one, but White County threw themselves into the picture there with that win. And other regions have the same thing, and we'll talk about some of those here in just a little bit as well. Scott, what stood out to you?
Well, a couple things. The importance of running games, really, in this weather, really stood out. Cam, you brought up Gordonsville. Lacking Bryson Grisham back there. That hurt them because that weather wasn't great for throwing the ball. But really, what stood out to me was teams that have been struggling playing, for better or worse, really great games and just coming up short. Brentwood Academy holds Baylor to a 1-point game. That one stood out to me. Station Camp going for the 2 for the win at Pearl. I mean, are these teams as good? Is this a product of weather? These teams may be getting better as the season progresses, as Paul Wade would say. There are different stages each season. And we're starting the second season now. We started it this week. Do we start seeing some of those teams that we had questions about start to improve in region play?
Yep. Well, let's dive into some scores, shall we? We'll start with a lot of Thursday night games, more than a dozen this week that got moved to Thursday, and Cannon County took advantage of that. They went 54-0 at Community to improve to 3-3 on the year.
Yeah, big win for the Lions. I think this was a region game as well, so could potentially be the game that gets them in the postseason, possibly.
Yep.
Brian Perkins went off this game, 261 yards, 5 touchdowns. Lions with 346 total yards. They had 2 picks in this game. They just dominated. I think that this was a catharsis game for them.
Columbia Academy takes care of Easel Harding 37-7. That's another big win for the Bulldogs, who have been playing good football lately.
I'm sure the mayor of Columbia, Isaac Leadham, sorry, Scott, is very happy with how this game turned out.
I think Scott's wanting an election there, Joe. We have to.
Yeah. One game does not a mayor make. Okay. I had them winning the region. All right. But hey, leave it to the people.
That's what we do here. Clarksville 42, Dixon County 7. Kind of Clarksville just asserting dominance there.
Yep, flexing that muscle for sure. We thought Dixon County had taken a big step by beating Kirkwood, and Clarksville they pretty much firmly have a stranglehold on this region now.
They rained on their parade.
Yeah, Dixon County's defense that really had been their hallmark gave up 381 total yards to Clarksville, 370 on the ground.
Joe, I'm just letting that marinate for a minute.
Yeah, I was proud of that one, to be honest with you.
I'm sure you were. Creekwood shut out Fairview 23-0. The Redhawks 5-1.
Such a weird team is Fairview. You just can't figure out. Creekwood's pretty good. Creekwood is pretty good.
If my research is accurate, 12 offensive yards for Fairview.
Goodness.
Wow.
A total.
If it is accurate, then that's a line of the week candidate for that Creekwood defense.
Definitely.
White House had a little 31-7 win over Greenbrier in a key region game for them.
Yeah, they got a big one coming up against Station Camp. I'm sure they're just kind of happy to get this one over with and on to the next one.
Yep. Kirkwood 12, Rossview 3, kind of one of the surprises from Thursday night. This Rossview's unbeaten streak comes to an end.
Yeah, and coming into this game, I kind of hyped up the Rossview defense, and how about this Kirkwood defense, man? They really showed up in this game. They lost a heartbreaker really to Dixon County the week before, 17-14, in a game where the defense played really well.
They just turned the ball over a lot.
Exactly. So, yeah, huge win, probably the biggest win in school history so far for Kirkwood here.
Well, definitely a statement win. 3-0 Rossview at the half, but too much Josiah Claybrooks in the second half.
Henry County shut out Northeast 52-0 in that one. Patriots are 4-2. Northeast still searching for win number 1. They dropped to 0-6.
Massive game in 2 weeks as Beach travels up there. So be a good one.
Brentwood 42-6 over Overton. Move a region game to Thursday night and get an extra day of rest on the back end.
Yeah, might as well. They got a huge one against Franklin this upcoming Friday. Extra day of rest could not hurt because that game's going to be massive.
That's just a dominant performance there. Gavin Nelson scores twice. J.C. White with 2 touchdowns. They brought in another quarterback. He scores. It's just the Bruins cruising there.
Yep. Let's trigger some highlights from Thursday night, Joe. Portland Springfield.
Yeah, first time out to Portland. It did not rain until the fourth quarter, so pretty good. However, things really did not start off great for the Yellow Jackets. You got Skylar Hicks here with the pick. Springfield's defense would rise up, though. They get a pretty good stop. Springfield would go, or Portland would go for it. Didn't get it. Yellow Jackets driving here. Hayden Reynolds with a big reception that would ultimately lead to KJ Chapman's first touchdown of the night. Good to see him back. He was out last year with a knee injury, and he was a big part of what they were missing. Fumble here. That was kind of the story for Portland in the first half. Couple of turnovers. KJ Chapman here with his second touchdown of the night, and Springfield's kind of rolling at this point. Keelan Dalton he got taken down there. I mean, that was rough. Great completion here has got Springfield just moving the ball down the field, and then that man again, KJ Chapman, punches it in. Looks like he may have gotten short. The refs disagreed with me. It is what it is. But the play of the night here, you've got Lamarius Dowling strip 6, and it's all Springfield at this point. However, Keelan Dalton here, very next play, returns the kickoff for 6, gets Portland on the board, and the Panthers have a little bit of momentum here, and they had none going into that. They would score again later in the fourth quarter. Things got a little tight. You had Seth Hackney there with the touchdown, but Springfield gets the ball, runs out the clock, and gets a huge region win.
Yeah, this was kind of the pivot game in this region where we talk about the 4 and 5 seeds, or 3, 4, and 5 seeds, really. And Springfield now looks like to have the inside track in at least one of those playoff spots.
Yeah, this was definitely a winner has an inside track. The loser has a lot of work to do and maybe a little help.
Yep.
All right. DeKalb County falls 31-15 to Stone Memorial. Tigers' unbeaten streak is over with that loss. They fall to 5-1.
Yeah, it was rough going here. It was 15-12 DeKalb at the half, and it looked like, but Stone Memorial just wouldn't go away. Second half, DeKalb could not get anything going. Defensive, the Stone Memorial Panther defense was too tough. Maddox Akendo, the running back for Stone Memorial, just ran roughshod in the second half. Scored the last 2 touchdowns for Stone. Rough loss for DeKalb County. In the season that was going really well for him.
Yeah, Kendo had 293 yards rushing.
Yeah.
He was a one-man show. This one, honestly, I felt like at the half, DeKalb had I think it was 15-12 at the half.
Mm-hmm.
DeKalb was lucky to be up at the half. Stone Memorial had a drive inside of DeKalb's 20 where a penalty, where a young man's helmet got ripped off, and they called him for unsportsmanlike, like he took his own helmet off, but that was weird. But it stalled the drive, and then DeKalb turned that into points before the half to take the lead. So I thought DeKalb had the momentum going into half, and Stone Memorial, this was a must-win for them, having already lost to White County in that region up there. This was a must-win for them. Now DeKalb County's, their back's not up against the wall yet, but it's close.
That Macon game looms large.
Franklin over Summit 38-7. The Admirals now 4-2 in the year, and we've talked about this team a lot this year, and for good reason.
Their most wins since 2020, I believe, 2020 or 2019. They're really good.
I mean, a win this week versus Brentwood, that gives them inside track on a home playoff game. When's the last time Franklin hosted a playoff game?
Yeah, it's a Brewer Wilson big night, 258 yards passing, 5 TDs.
Please don't feed this man Digo.
Brandon, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I don't get that a lot, so I'll take it. I'll take the wins wherever I can get them.
He's a cheater and he's a fraud. Don't feed him, bro.
Oh my goodness! I could call you and berate you for that, but I won't.
That's fair.
White House Heritage 48-20 winners over Sycamore. The Patriots, another big offensive night for Xavier Murray.
Yeah. I mean, this is another one of those teams similar to Beach, is what Joe was saying about Beach. Kind of struggled out of the gate. We expected them to be a pretty decent football team and contend for that region championship, which they're definitely looking like they will now. But they found a groove offensively for sure.
Yeah, they light up scoreboards like a dog on pinball machine.
Yep. On to some of the Friday scores. BGA 32-8 over Hunters Lane. The Wildcats now 5-1 with that one.
Get right game for the Wildcats. Kane Marable had himself a big night, and yeah, I mean they needed a bounce back win after what happened last Thursday.
Big defensive night for Brentwood Academy's defense. It's not quite enough though. They fall 7-6 to Baylor.
This would have been the win of the year for any team around here if they'd gotten the job done. I thought this game, I kept seeing I kept seeing a lack of score updates from this game, and it kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah, I
Just-
had to turn it over and watch the fourth quarter. Scott, you probably watched more of it than I did. But just what I saw in the fourth quarter, Brentwood Academy's defense is the story of this game for sure. Being able to, they didn't fully stop the run, but be able to slow them guys down enough to get the offense the ball. I mean, they had, I think it was 3 or 4 possessions in the fourth quarter with a chance to go down and get points to win this thing, and they just couldn't get it done against the Baylor defense.
They held Baylor to 1 of 11 on third down conversions. They're plagued by drops. George McIntyre looked pretty good this game, overthrew a couple, but really drops, and the fact they could not maintain a run game really cost them. But boy, what an outstanding performance by the defense.
And because he's a Tennessee commit, I'll come to his defense. There was about a 35-mile-an-hour wind gust behind him, so some of those balls that were overthrown may not have been his fault.
That's fair. That's fair.
You looked like the actually meme when you did that. Because he's a Tennessee commit.
Well, actually.
But actually,
All right. Keeping going. Blackman 28-7 over Single. The Blaze 3-3, but they probably are better than that record.
100%. Best 3-3 team around.
yeah.
You said exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, this
That
was
is
21-0 at the half. Blackman. They Marcus Cameron 2 rushing touchdowns, but Blackman, that's going to be they're going to be interesting, and a team you don't want to play coming down the stretch.
Father Ryan, an impressive win over Briarcrest, 45-15.
4-1 Father Ryan. We said Brentwood's the best 5-1 team around. Father Ryan might be the best 4-1 team around.
Yep.
Huge matchup with Ensworth here in 2 weeks, especially if both teams take care of business next week.
Yep. One of those games that kind of shakes this region up a little bit. Nolensville knocks off Centennial 10-6.
Yes,
Yeah.
Nolan, you'll be getting an apology.
Well, guys, we talk about it all the time. I know I do as much as I can, but Paul Derrick, what he's just done at Nolensville, it can't be overstated. I mean, wins like this go heavily on account of him, in my opinion. So big win for the Knights. Sets them up possibly for that 2 seed.
If you're paid
just-
and you're sitting at the top of that region, you're just kind of sitting back and watching all the chaos unfold underneath you.
It is carnage right now.
This was a nothing game at the half, and Nolensville got a field goal, but the big play was Rexroad, scoop and score.
Rexroad.
Brendan Rexroad, 22-yard defensive scoop and score. This game had 6 fumbles in it. I mean, it was just a sloppy game, but Nolensville found a way to win, and good teams do that.
I'd venture to say 6 was the average for Friday night games.
Is that Joe's kid, Rex?
It is.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Good for him.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I would venture to say 6 was about average for the number of fumbles in Friday night games.
Yeah.
CPA, no trouble with good pasture, 49-14.
Good teams take care of business regardless of the weather. CPA is a great team. Simple as that. Hudson Chance, 4-touchdown night. He's got the arm fired up, and that makes CPA a terrifying team.
Yeah. Yeah, we know they can run the ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
Riverdale over Coffee County 21-0. Warriors now 5-1.
Riverdale's defense has played really well this season, guys. I mean, even in that loss, they only gave up a touchdown. So they're putting up points, but that defense may be the strength, and that's going to be huge going into the Blackman game.
Their offense really, I mean, they needed some help from that defense and their special teams. Tip punt led to their first score. A muff punt set up their second drive. Coffee County really did them some favors in this game, and I know Coach Kreisky was not happy with his team's performance.
JP2 quickly improving, 26-16 winners over Davidson Academy tonight. It's now 3-3, but 3-1 in region play.
I believe Davidson Academy was up 16-0 or something in this game there, and then JP2 just rattles off 26 straight. So that's a huge win for this really, really young Knights team. They needed that.
They are really young, but they're literally getting carried like most defenders by Bo Bailey. What he's been able to do for the Knights offense early on, and especially a young quarterback in Hudson Holman. This Knights team, if you're a Knights fan, you have to like the progress between last year and this year for sure.
Yep.
If you want to beat them, you have to play 4 quarters. The last 3 games, they've come back to win. I mean, they're basically they're the cardiac Knights.
East Robertson goes to Carthage and knocks off Smith County 27-8.
Yeah, no real like major standouts in this game for East Robertson. They just a team effort. They got the job done. They head into Westmoreland, which is essentially the region championship, unbeaten. So,
yeah, 276 yards against. You can tell it's a Smith County team that's very, very young. If you can roll up 276 yards on a Smith County defense.
Ensworth, no trouble with MUS, 42-3.
They've given up 6 points in their last 4 games. So, the offense, I mean, this was a revenge game. I believe MUS got them last year. So, Ensworth really good and looking like a real state contender.
Yep. All right, Joe, some more highlights. FRA and East Nashville's up next.
Yeah, let's head over to the east side. Why not? Mike Hassel getting things going early on to cap off a 6-minute drive. Muff punt leads to just bad news for East Nashville. FRA takes advantage shortly after. Roman Mallerwine punches it in for the first of 2 touchdowns on the night for him. And then this is just kind of the night East Nashville had. You got big number 64, Keelan Neal, a sophomore. You'll hear that quite a bit tonight. But hey, East Nashville would not go away. Got the long reception here that put 6 on the board by Jaden Mobley. That was huge. Made it a 14-7 game. But then after that, just too much FRA. Mike Hassel here on the short screen to the house. I mean, just way too easy. FRA just kind of rolls. Then you got sophomore. That was Keelan Neal again. He was all over the field. Grandjean here. He hits up Cam Glenn, a sophomore, for the first of 2 touchdowns on the night for him. Just the speed to Hassel's power. Then you got a sophomore, Quadair Fletcher. Huge tackle there. And here he is again. And here he is again. He's pretty good. That was all on the same drive. Just absurd. Another sophomore here, Baron Zinner, stiff arms the defender off of him. Big pickup here. And then you got Cam Glenn again punching it in for 6, second of the night for him. Mallerwine will take it himself, punches it in, and yeah, just way too much FRA. They're very, very good. East scores at the very end of the game, but at this point it was all over, and I was ready to go home because I was soaked.
An impressive win for FRA. That just looks like a team that could be very, very dangerous, not just for the remainder of this year, but the next couple of years with all those sophomores that you mentioned.
Yeah, Mallerwine's a senior. He's a senior quarterback, and you need that with the team as young as they have. But boys, the amount of sophomores and juniors this group has, it's impressive. Amari Sanders, he looked really good at times. He has some things he needs to work on. He knows that. Had a couple opportunities at some big tackles that if he wraps up, I mean, massive plays. But outside of that, FRA they're really good. They're insanely talented at every single level. I mean, their kicker's really good too. So all 3 phases. At East Nashville dealing with a lot of injuries at the moment. KJ Johnson's out, hoping to see him back next week against Smyrna. They're still a really good football team. I think they're maybe a year away from being, a real contender. FRA is just a different level though.
Moving on with some more scores. The shutout streak reaches 6 for Page, 62-0 over Glencliff.
Yeah, 7 yards of total offense
15.
for Glencliff. 15.
Yeah.
So you said that's one game, but I don't know if this stat is correct. I saw this morning. I think, Joe, you retweeted it.
If it was from Freeman, it's correct.
Yeah. 6 games, 367 total yards all season.
And I'm going to venture out and say most of those came against Franklin.
Probably, yeah.
That would be my
Probably,
guess.
yeah.
So they've outscored teams 219-0. They're plus 14 in the turnover margin. They have 41 tackles for loss, 5 defensive touchdowns. Defense is responsible for 14% of the team's points scored this season, and 14 different players have scored for this team. So,
Yeah. They had 3 scooping scores in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense is offensive.
So what you're saying is they don't just serve donuts; they serve ice cream too.
Yeah. They may turn it. I don't know. I mean, they do everything.
all that kept Eric Hazard from having a perfect weekend was Notre Dame beating Louisville. So, I mean,
He had to-
I had to throw that in there.
but Page was up 42-0 in the first quarter in this one. It is a mismatch. They get Lawson coming up. Lawson has the weapons to potentially score. It's hard for me to imagine anybody beating this team right now.
Over in Gallatin, Green Hill got to 6-0 with a 26-13 win over the Green Wave.
Cannon Burrows, another big game rushing. Will Butler had a pick 6. It seemed like kind of a weird game. I know Gallatin jumped out to the lead early, and then Cannon does what Cannon does.
I believe they're.
Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say the Green Hill defense has been playing pretty well. I believe that they limited Jackson Stroop to 1 of 13 passing. Well, them and the weather, but 3 picks in this game. Also gave up a safety and a fumble. Defense is very opportunistic, and their offense tends to take advantage of those areas. So Green Hill playing a complete game.
Yeah, if we're talking about underclassmen defensive linemen, Luka Nash had a night for Green Hill, 5 tackles for loss. I believe he had a forced fumble as well. So great night for him.
Yep.
And Kanan is carrying the offense right now. And this was this was like, I'm sure there was weather conditions everywhere and there was puddles everywhere. But there's one play that was on TV, and they showed the replay about, I don't know, 100 times. And Cannon gets tackled at the sideline, and he literally slides 20 yards.
We also got to talk about the fake punt, because that's gutsiest freaking call.
Listen, if there's a coach around here that's going to make a call like that on special teams, we saw it last year when his team was struggling against Lebanon. And he goes for the onside kick out of nowhere. Listen, special teams is a portion of this game for sure, and he's not afraid to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah, let's shout out Amazing Danny for carrying out that fake about as flawlessly as you could, and definitely go check that highlight out if you get a chance, because it's wild.
That's a coach who has faith in his defense.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Hillsboro knocked off Lawson 10-9, and the Burros now 4-2.
Yeah, very quietly. They had kind of a bad result early in the year, but they're winning games, and that Nolensville game is got massive importance now for the region. I think Hillsboro is a playoff team. Where they end up in that region is to be decided, but they get a win here. They got a good shot at the 2 seed potentially. Yeah,
the big they've got some offensive problems that they need to solve. The big score for them was a 95-yard kickoff return by Javarian Bradford. But tight. They're winning tight games. They get their offensive side sorted out. They could be a threat.
Ravenwood no trouble to Indy, 37-0. The Raptors just keep chugging along.
Yeah, this was a 9-point game at the half, and then Ravenwood just kind of opened it up in the second half. Just that's what they do.
Yeah, Limited them to 65 total yards.
Providence Christian over Kings Academy 17-14. The Lions now quietly 4-2.
PCA is building something special there. Really good year so far. They're looking better and better each week.
47-yard game winner for Cooper McFarland.
Cane Ridge gets off the winless column 12-10 over Laverne.
Good for the Ravens. I mean, first win of the new coaching tenure there. Still got a lot to to do there, but yeah, first win's always a big one, and to do it in this game, it would have not looked great had they lost this game, but they got the win, and that's what matters.
It's a really important result because the 4th seed in Region 5-6A is up for grabs.
Well, this was a 10-6 game with 1:26 to go, and Cane Ridge got a long run that was set up by a sack and a fumble that gave them first. And their first score was set up on a sack fumble that gave them first and goal at the 1. So that Laverne was in control for a while, but Cane Ridge found a way.
Lebanon knocks off Watertown 27-7. That's their second win of the year.
Yeah.
Huge night for Lebanon. Harrison Edwards, 22 carries, 189 yards, 3 touchdowns for the Blue Devils.
They're pretty good when he gets the ball. He is very explosive. Analysis.
5 in a row for Westmoreland. They shut out Liberty Creek 36-0.
Yeah, Cooper White, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a fumble return for a touchdown. He's putting together a very, very solid year. And Westmoreland held Liberty Creek to 148 total yards of rushing. Shout out to Cooper for those stats submitted to us.
Yeah, we've talked about Westmoreland a couple times here over the last 4 or 5 weeks. We've got them in our rankings for good reason. I mean, Westmoreland's always been good defensively. They're actually showing out on offense this year, and they're not just in the wing tee. They're going in spread. They're going in a power eye look. They got a lot of different things that they're doing. And man, what a massive game coming up on Thursday night.
Yep, they've put themselves in position to potentially take that region from East Robertson and up there in Cross Plains. It's one of the biggest games of the week coming up next Thursday.
We'll be there with how massive of a game it is.
Macon County falls 34-18 at White County. We talked about this, one of the surprises of the week.
Yeah, spoilers, Macon County drops out of the rankings because I did not see this one coming. Yeah, good for White County. Trip Pinion had a big night. I talked to Noah a little bit about this, and they were shocked by this one as well, especially with how dominant White County is. This makes next week's spotlight game between DeKalb and Macon massive because the winner still in a good spot for the playoffs, while the loser is on the outside looking in.
Yeah. Trip Pinion, yeah, you mentioned him, Joe. Big night, 184 yards, 3 TDs. But the biggest thing for him was defensively, he kept Gabe Borders in check for most of the night.
NBA falls 13-0 to Macaulay, although it's a good defensive effort for the Big Red.
Yeah, Macaulay put up a ton of points against Brentwood Academy last week. NBA kind of stifled that a little bit. Just couldn't get the offense going. If the Big Red, if Hugh Price is in this game, it'd be interesting to think about how this game could have gone. Young quarterback, he's playing well, but you need a kind of an experienced guy leading the offense back there, especially against the defending state champion.
Smyrna shuts out McGavock 23-0. The Bulldogs now 3-3 with that win. Yeah,
I mean, Smyrna still in contention to win that region. Looking better and better each week. We'll see how they fare once they get to, real competition like Stewart's Creek and Antioch. But they get East Nashville next week. They win that game. They got a bit of momentum riding into those important games later in the season.
Gordonsville, as we talked about earlier, she lost 21-0 to Monterey, but not as damaging a loss since it is out of region.
Yeah, kind of shocked by how this one went. Was not expecting Gordonsville to get shut out. I think we all picked them to win. So a good win for Monterey. They're coming off a pretty ugly loss last week. So Gordonsville, without their running back, they just couldn't get anything going.
Well, your primary weapon's gone in a weather conditions that you need your running game, and there's a result.
A rematch of last year's championship game in D2 Single A, but Friendship Christian gets revenge 35-7 over Middle Tennessee Christian.
Orlando Barton had a massive night.
Yeah. Friendship put up 35 unanswered and then held the Cougars to 46 yards rushing and only 7 first downs.
Yeah, in a really talented Division II Single A, just want to add on Orlando. If he was in any other classification, we'd be talking about him in Mr. Football conversation, and he still needs to be mentioned for sure. Just in a really, really crowded group of guys there in D2 Single A.
Yeah, DCA 44-0 winners over Mount Juliet Christian. They're 5-1.
Is it 44-0 or 50-0? I thought I saw 50.
Just 44-0 on TLSAA.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
King Gardner had a big night, 109 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns.
Oakland 60-0 over Rockville.
Welcome back, DeJuan Morris. 2 touchdowns. Kyler Creasy had 3 passing touchdowns. Oakland took out some frustrations on Rockville.
Yep. Held the Rocks at 71 yards on the ground and forced 4 fumbles.
Yeah.
A wild one over at Pearl Kona Station Camp was a 2-point conversion away from stealing one, but the Firebirds escaped.
So was Pearl up big in this one, and then Station Camp
21-0.
way back?
Pearl came out hot. They scored on the opening kickoff return, and then Javian Kennard went off for 54 yards. Looked over early. Pearl did get out to a 21-0 lead, and then Colton Overbay took over. He scored on the scramble. He started exposing the middle of the Pearl defense by extending plays in the pocket. They'd tie it on another Overbay score, but an unsportsmanlike penalty moved the kickoff back. Pearl gets positioned at the Station Camp 41. A play later, Marion Starks takes us to the house. Overbay drives down, but Kennard picks him off in the end zone and looks over. But then Pearl fumbles on their own 35, and from there, Overbay throws a long pass to the 1. 2 plays later, he scores. The Bison go for 2 with no time remaining. They scored with no time remaining. They go for 2, but they get turned away. Station Camp came within a hair's breadth of having what may have been the upset of the season.
As such, Pearl Cone is 4-2 and 3-0 in region play, and still has their region title hopes in front of them after that win. My turn to the highlights this time. I was over to Antioch for that Region 5 6A battle with Stewart's Creek, and it was pouring down rain when I got there, and this first quarter was kind of playing it downpour as well. Both teams basically relegated to the ground. Not a lot of even pass attempts here. Caleb Floyd gets this one in from a yard out in the first play of the second quarter, 7-0 Stewart's Creek. It wasn't long before the Redhawks found themselves back down near the goal line. And right here, Caleb Floyd will do it again from short yardage. His second touchdown of the night. He slides in as the Redhawks take a 14-0 lead. Antioch's offense really relegated to one drive, and really here's the big play of it, a little swing pass to Brandon Galladay, who makes the catch. And the speedster found a way to get down the sideline and get into Stewart's Creek territory. And a couple of plays later, Andre Adams does it with his legs. He takes the read, fools the Stewart's Creek's defense, goes 32 yards. Antioch with life there. It's 14-6 as they missed the extra point. But fumbles and penalties for the story of the night. Both sides had them. This one was the big one. Early in the fourth quarter, the pitch goes wrong. Canel St. Soir with a scoop and score here to put the Redhawks up 21-6. Their sideline's going crazy, and for good reason, because the Stewart's Creek defense wasn't quite done in the fourth quarter. Very late, Antioch still deep in their own end. Andre Adams looking for someone to throw to. Can't find anyone open. Marcel Gordon gets the strip sack, and Bryson Hayes gets the recovery in the end zone. And Stewart's Creek gets a huge 27-6 win over Antioch, and they celebrate as one would do in the rain by a little bit of a slideshow.
That's right. If the people of Columbia decide that they want Isaac to be their mayor, I'll settle for being the magistrate of Stewart's Creek.
No, plain and simple. I mean, this was just weather really was Antioch's kryptonite. They had several fumbles and lost most of them. And Stewart's Creek, they came in with a game plan to combat the weather and combat Antioch, and it's a great win for them because now they're in the driver's seat in this region.
It's a much closer game, I think, if it's not raining, but it's hard not to think that Stewart's Creek doesn't win that game. They just, I mean, the defense, it looked like really, they were stout. I mean, they
Very stout.
They were built for this game. I mean, they're a running team, and Antioch's more of a passing team, and it worked out. But I still think the result would be the same. But there you go.
Yep. Trousdale County falls 28-0 to Jackson County. The Yellow Jackets still looking for their first win.
Yeah, just a tough night for the.
I'll take this. Trousdale County. What's going on? You're hurting my boy. Tennessee's off this week. He didn't get to watch the Vols play, so he's been stewing over this. And then he's got the Titans tomorrow, and he's going to watch them lose. What are you doing? You're just hurting my guy. He's a proud Trousdale County alum, and he's just it's Cam. I feel bad for you, my guy. I feel bad. Yeah, this is bad, Cam.
I knew he couldn't do it with a straight face.
On a positive note, Jim Satterfield Middle School conference champions yesterday, 22-6 over Gordonsville. So that's a positive note. Helps on the way. Just a tough night for the Yellow Jackets. First time Jackson County's defeated Trousdale County since 1937.
Scott, you remember that?
I do. I didn't live here then.
Everybody's catching one today, boys.
You're just mad because I may have taken the wheat.
Nah.
Oh,
Joe feeling a little catty.
yeah. Okay. Before it gets too far off the rails, let's keep going.
Keep going.
I gotta go to work. Eagleville falls 14-7 to Wayne County. The Eagles dropped to 3-3 with that loss and 2-2 in region play.
Not good, Eagleville. Not good.
Montgomery Central wins for the first time in 2 years, 8-0 over Whites Creek.
Really bad, Whites Creek. Really bad.
Well, the only score in this game was a 102-yard pick six by Kenyon Connor. That accounted for the only touchdown on the night.
You can't. They were trying to throw the ball way too much. You got a freshman quarterback in the rain on the grass. Just not a good mix.
Now Juliet 21-6 winners over Wilson Central to improve to 6-0.
John Michael Crudup with 200 yards on 24 rushes in this one. Baylor Osborne had 2 receiving touchdowns. This was a close game going into the fourth quarter. Mount Juliet ended up finding a way to win in ugly conditions.
I know some people are waiting on these highlights, Joe, so let's go ahead and get it to them. Beach and Hendersonville.
Oh, yeah. Beach got to go out to Shackle Island. I got off the unbanned list, which was nice. And for good reason. Beach comes out firing 4 plays. Kwan Harris, kind of similar to East Nashville FRA, botched punt on Hendersonville. I just realized that. Shelton Swafford takes it in for 6 here, and within, I would say, 4 minutes, it's Beach 14-0. All Buccaneers. You got Tyler Campbell here putting on the moves, breaking that guy out of his shoes. 21-0 in the first quarter, but hey, Hendersonville does not go away. They get in the end zone here off Caleb Sams, but that was about it for Hendersonville. Shelton Swafford finds a hole the very next play, and he is gone. Junior, he's very, very good, very, very, very talented. Gets another big run here. I mean, this kid, I don't know how many yards he had, but he had a lot. That's all I know. He's very good at the game of football. And then a guy I would not want to tackle in the open field, Caden Powell, bullies his way into the end zone. Beach was 7 for 7 on its first 7 scoring drives, guys. When the varsity was in, they scored every single drive. Another big touchdown here for the former Hendersonville running back. He's now with Beach, Nehemiah Archie. Yeah, dominance, absolute dominance by Beach. There's not much you can say. The Bucks have found their form. They are they're playing what we thought they would be playing, what we hoped they would be playing, because let's be real, we all want a Beach Page semifinal game. And Beach players after the game were chanting, we want Page. You ain't going to get him till the postseason. Beach looks to be in a really good position to win this region. And, you know, a lot of their guys that stand out are juniors. So this is a team that's going to be a factor next year too. But right now, they are very much looking the part of a team that can make a run to Chattanooga if they just keep it going.
Yep. Yeah, just an impressive win for the Buccaneers. And I nearly made it to this game after getting off work early, but rain was a little too much for my cameras. So
yeah, we all want the Beach versus Page game. This is the Beach team that has to show up to get it, though.
Mm-hmm. I will say this for our guy Matt, diehard Beach fan, obviously. Saw him at the game. He made the trip up. He had a great day. Kentucky won, Louisville lost, and Beach beat Hendersonville. So he had a great day.
That's the hat trick.
Yep.
That is.
And he told me it makes it even better because the Titans can't lose on Sunday. So I mean,
this game was an absolute. Looked like they were playing on ice, and then it looked like they were playing in a pigsty. And that's not a knock on the Harpeth field; it's a knock on the weather.
Yeah.
But yeah, Harpeth. This game was 8-0 for the most part. Most of the game, they get a late touchdown. It was pretty much all Indians this game.
Yeah, Harpeth improves to 3-3, 2-2 region play. A big win over Summertown because that was a Summertown team that was 4-1 going in.
Mm-hmm.
Innovation Academy gets on the scoreboard late, falls 63-0 to South Pittsburgh. Sentinels still with those growing pains in their first year of 11-man football.
gotta take your lumps.
Joe Burns, a 14-6 winner at Cheatham County. Cheatham County technically a home game. This game, I believe, was played at Sycamore. It was their homecoming, unfortunately, for the Cubs, who are on the road all year due to construction at their stadium. So, just a tough one for the Cubs. Joe Burns gets their second win of the year. West Creek, 14-0 over Northwest. The Coyotes are 3-3.
Wow, I didn't realize they were 3-3. Good for them. That's all.
Yep.
2 region wins, and they're kind of in that discussion for that number 4 seed in that region as well.
As I say,
Red Bowling Springs shut out at Perry County 26-0. Both teams exit that game with 2-4 records. And then one game coming up tomorrow night, and Grace Christian travels to Nashville Christian to face the Eagles to officially complete week 6. So
if you got 2 games in 1 week, one of the teams you don't want to play is Nashville Christian.
yes.
That's rough. Why this game wasn't scheduled for Thursday or Saturday, I don't know. I'm very confused.
Well, I will say Nashville Christian's field is in a pretty low spot. And
could have gotten in
given the rain, they probably made the right call.
And I will say, when I was there for the Davidson game, there was some construction going on right next to the field.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have played a factor in that too.
Yep.
Still think they could have gotten in Thursday.
So a little Monday Night Football action for those of you who don't want to watch the Titans, or in my case, the Lions.
But you should want to watch the Lions because they're wearing their cool new black uniforms and everything.
Yes, you should. And I'm wearing black in honor of that. So anyway, that's all the scores from week 6. And obviously a wild week in setting up some playoff chases in the second half of the season.
I'm so sick of the rain. We needed it, but God, I'm sick of it.
Well, you'd like it doled out and a steady, nice little pattern, not dumped on y'all at once.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Obviously, our thoughts are over with those over in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina who are really going through it.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah, it's really rough out in North Carolina. It's where my wife's family is from, and a lot of them don't have any services or telephone. So there are some over there we still haven't gotten in contact with. So just prayers with everybody affected by that devastating amount of rain.
Yeah, and I want to. I know they're not in our area, but Gatlinburg Pittman football page on all social media is putting together a little fundraiser deal for Unicoi County and Cott County in East Tennessee that have been hit really hard with the floods. So if you could check out Gatlinburg Pittman's page, they're supposed to be releasing some more information on how they're going to help out tomorrow on Monday. So if you can donate, if you can't, prayers work too. So
we can retweet that to ours.
Yep.
So they can find it a little easier, right?
Yep. Once we get the info, we'll share it with everybody as well. All right, that's all for us for the 615 Prep Scoreboard for Week 6. In just a few days' time, we'll be back with you on Wednesday night, 615 Preps Live, 7 p.m. And then we'll get you ready for Week 7, Thursday and Friday night games this week. So lots to talk about for every team in our area.
Oh, we're almost at the end of the regular season, boys.
Yep. Well,
sadness.
For the guys who can't be on the show this morning and for everybody seeing around the screen, for Joe, Scott, Cam, I'm Chris. We're out. Have a great Sunday. We'll talk to you Wednesday night.